Don't make any noise.
It's quite rude.
Don't tell me I'm rude.
You basically just said, and you can be quiet.
I didn't say, and you can be quiet. I meant to say just be quiet. Hi, I'm Scott, and this is the 80 Thursdays project. Day 7 and 8 of the project. So, I didn't really do much on day 8. It's the October holidays, and so not a lot got done because I was spending time with my kids. But day 7 was a very productive day, so we'll kind of mostly talk about that, and then I implemented some of what I thought about on day 7 on day 8, and we'll just kind of go from there. On day 7, I was spending a lot of time on my development scroll or roll or whatever. Previous week I was kind of working on the camera a little bit, and then this week I was tweaking it, and I tweaked some of the code to try and make it so that the character wasn't too far ahead on the player's view screen, because then you wouldn't be able to see anything. So I played around with some of the code, and I feel like I fixed that. It's now at a point where it hovers kind of to the left of the middle, so you see more of what's coming ahead of the character or the player, and you can obviously then react better. I also was playing around with the controls a little bit to try and make it so that going backwards and forwards felt the same way, because it kind of felt like going backwards was slower but more responsive, whereas going forward kind of felt strange. Didn't feel right. So I was playing around with that. I'm trying again, I think as I said last week or last time, to mimic iOS controls without actually getting the iOS plugin and paying the £400 for that. Just until I get up to a point where I feel like I can, I am further into development. Originally, my idea was kind of to have the controls to be a bit more like a rhythm action game. Think like Guitar Hero or more Dance Dance Revolution. It's not one of those games, but you would tap the left and the right screen consecutively to make the character move forward. The faster you tap, the faster you move, and then the slower you tap, the slower you move. I thought it was a really cool idea, and I think I might still play around with it a little bit. It's very hard to mimic that without actually having the iOS control plugin, but I figured if I use the left and the right keys of the keyboard, that would kind of mimic it in enough of a way to see if it would work. It's going to require a little bit of figuring out how this code would work. I'm kind of thinking that I would need to add in a key check before the key check, so that it checks to make sure that the previous key was pressed before the current key was pressed. And it's a lot of technical stuff that I don't fully understand myself. That's going to require a lot of code, and so part of me is now maybe thinking to just make it a basic control system, but with my spin on how this is laid out. Maybe kind of marrying my idea of tapping the screen, but with more traditional control input. Obviously, in other iOS platformers, you kind of have like a virtual D-pad or virtual buttons, and that feels really crap. And so an idea I've got is to do away with that altogether and to move the left and the right to the left and the right portions of the screen. Everything would be controlled by 2 buttons. So, maybe, you obviously you tap the left side or you press and hold or the left side of the screen to go left and press and hold the right side of the screen to go right, but maybe you could swipe down on both sides to jump or to skate or to do various different actions. So I'm going to start playing around with that to see which feels better, the more traditional control method or this more kind of rhythm action control method. Obviously then that's going to have a huge impact on the gameplay. If it's the rhythm action one, levels will have to be designed with a flow in mind, kind of like the Rayman Legends music levels, which I'll maybe put a wee clip of up here. They're fantastic, but they kind of really showcase having perfect timed jumps, because it always has to sync in with the music. Whereas if I use the more traditional control methods, or the more traditional control input, I can kind of maybe craft the levels to have a bit more thought behind them and more deliberate button movements, and so a la Mario, for example, you know. So yeah, I'm now just basically going to deal with that and try and figure that out, see what feels best. So that'll be next week, maybe. Next week is again is Tatty Holidays, is the October holidays, and so we'll see how well I get on with the kids on holiday. You know, obviously they come first, and so I want to spend time with them. So this might be something that I implement in a couple weeks' time, but I'm obviously still playing around with my work. I also wanted to talk about the way that I am writing down all my ideas and how I'm processing the information. I have used sketchbooks for a couple decades now to doodle things down in, whether that's in art school or just in my own personal project. And something that always happens is that I lose track of the pages. I lose track of my notes and I can't see everything all together. I like seeing everything in one place. So something I always liked doing was having a big whiteboard with everything written on it. I can't really do that in my house because Kendall would kill me. No response. But what I had an idea a few months ago was to get a big roll of paper, and that would effectively be my development sheet. One really long development sheet. So I started at one end and then worked my way through it. And I'll put the video up now and it'll kind of scroll through that because it's like a scroll. It's a really helpful method in keeping my thoughts and ideas all cohesive and in one place. I can mark off sections as day 1, day 2, etc., but I can also see where I'm coming from and effectively then where I'm going. It's kind of like a long timeline, I guess, is maybe the better way to think about it. I post a lot about it on my Instagram because I think it's really cool. So that's the past 2 weeks. Next week or the week after, as I say, I'll be fiddling around with the controls, seeing which method I want to go down, and then back to normal the week after that. This has been day 8 and 7 of the 80 Thursdays project. See you later. I will make a theme song one day for the 6 people that watch the video.
Aww.